So I've been wanting to make this video for a while now, as I really believe we've really got to delve into President Trump's job approval, the generic ballot, and really figure out what's going on here. What's Trump's real approval? What's really going on with the polling? Because look at the RCP average right now. Currently, it is negative 19 for Trump's job approval. Yeah, not negative 5, not negative 10, negative 19. And I think we've really got to delve into what's really going on here. Is this legitimate? Is this bullshit? Because a lot of people, they just look at the top line average and call it a day. And I should be clear about this. Yes, I think right now, President Trump is clearly below water. And the generic ballot, as of now, it does favor the Democrat Party. With that being said, however, if you look just past the average, you begin to realize something very sketchy is going on here. Because yeah, the top line average, it's DEFCON 1, negative 19 for President Trump. But look at some of these individual pollsters. CNN, negative 30. AP, negative 33. Quinnipiac, negative 26. Yeah, these are some of the worst pollsters out there. And they're having Trump at negative 26, negative 30, negative 33. And yes, some of the other better pollsters, they have Trump underwater like RMG Research. They have him at negative 12. But guys, there's clearly a big gap between pollsters like RMG Research, hell, even Morning Consult, the Daily Mail, Harvard Harris. These pollsters have Trump below water, but notice there's a big gap between negative 12 and negative 13 to negative 30. There is a clear discrepancy. And who would you really trust more? Pollsters like Harvard Harris, Rasmussen, even Morning Consult. Who would you trust more? Those pollsters, even RMG Research, or do you trust Reuters, CNN, the AP, Fox News, another awful pollster? Who would you trust more? And that's the big discrepancy in all of this. The shitty pollsters, they all have Trump at record lows, negative 50. At some point, they're going to probably drop a negative 70. At this rate, they're going to drop it soon. That's my prediction. Maybe they don't. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. But seriously, negative 33. Not even Rich Barris has Trump that low. He has him at negative 20, which I still think's absurd, but at least it's better than negative 33, like the AP has. That is an utter joke, by the way. Negative 33, seriously? It is just bizarre that pollsters still push out crap like that. There is no universe that Trump right now is below water by less than 20 points. Like, negative 20 is pushing it already. I think it's absurd. But negative 33, I think it's clear that, yeah, pollsters like the AP and CNN, they're clear outliers. And when you take them out of the average, like America First Insight does, which again, this factors in how good a pollster is, how bad they are. Trump's approval right now, it is below water. But look at this. Negative 14. Now, there is a clear gap between the good pollsters and the bad ones, and this proves it. This demonstrates it. When you average all these shit pollsters together, it is closer to negative 18, like the RCP average has it. When you take the garbage ones out, yeah, it's bad, but it's not negative 30. It's not negative 35 or whatever garbage some of these pollsters are pushing. So yeah, there is a clear gap. It's clearly inflated by just awful pollsters. And to demonstrate my point even further, let's just go back to the RCP average and scroll down here. Let's just look at the AP. They're the ones that has Trump at negative 33. Here's the weird thing about the AP. They are claiming that Trump has been at negative 20 and negative 15, negative 21 since March of last year. There was like 1 month in August they had Trump at only negative 8. Outside of that, His best showing was March of last year at -14. Outside of that, it's been mostly -20 or lower. And back in April, they had it even worse for Trump, -34. So, according to the AP, Trump, throughout his entire second term, has been universally despised by everybody. That is complete horse shit. Even most Democrat pollsters admit in February and March of last year, Trump was still fairly popular. But the AP is claiming, oh, he's just been hated by everybody this entire time. He's been hated by every single voter by -20 since March of last year. That is utter horseshit. How can anyone believe this? But you can keep going. Same thing with CNN. The same garbage. February of last year, Trump allegedly peaked at -4. And they've been claiming since October last year, -22. Also, April last year, -14. So again, these pollsters, they've been way outside the consensus this entire time. They're just claiming, yeah, he's a -35 now. It's getting worse by the day. That is just crazy to think about. Does no one question this? Like, wait a second here. This pollster's been claiming this entire time that he's been below water by 20 points. This entire time. Yeah, no. That is just utter horseshit. But still, this is where things do get weird. Because CNN and the AP and these other pollsters, everyone knows they're bad. And for the entirety of Trump's second term, even in the last couple of months, they have been way outside the consensus of everybody. They still kind of are. But here's the weird thing. And this is the part that should make people really wonder what's going on here. Now, I'm not saying Trump is magically popular. Like I said, I think he is below water. He's probably at -10 to -15. I still think that's where he's at realistically. That's based on RMG research, Rasmussen, Harvard Harris, good pollsters. But here's a thing that should terrify Democrats. Even though Trump is objectively below water by 10 to 15 points, however you want to say it, he's below water by a good amount. Even with the garbage outliers, anyone that's honest would say, yeah, right now, with everything going on, he is probably below water by 10 to 15 points. Despite that, you go over to the generic ballot, and this is where things get, if you're a Democrat, very worrisome. Because despite Trump being -20 in the RCP average, the generic ballot is only D+6. Yeah. Not D+8, not D+10, D+6. Which is only slightly more Democrat than 2020 was. And more Republican than 2018. Yeah. And really, you take out the two garbage outliers, I mean, seriously, D+11, when everybody else is saying D+2, D+3, D+8, even CNN, despite showing Trump down by 30 points, they have Trump or Republicans down by only 8 points. How is that even possible? That is just crazy to even think about. That despite everything going on, despite Democrats allegedly having this blue tsunami environment, they're overperforming special elections, Trump's approval's -20 or -30 in some cases, Democrats are only up by 6 points. And you take out the two massive outliers in Big Data and Emerson. I cannot believe I'm saying that, but they are. This is one of those rare circumstances where they're the clear outliers. They're clearly way out there. You take them out, the generic ballot is basically the 2020 results, which, yeah, that would maybe be enough for Democrats to retake the House, but that's not a blue tsunami. That is just a Democrat environment, sure, but it's not this record-breaking, we're going to win 55 Senate seats, we're going to take back the House with a record margin. That is, we barely retook the House, and we're going to have a hard time even picking a speaker. That is the issue with everything going on here. Democrats should be up by 10 to 15 points in every poll. But even the shit ones for Trump, like CNN, even fucking YouGov, -20 for Trump, only D+4 in the generic ballot. This is awful. And what should make Democrats even more worried, and this is the part I wanted to get to, is the fact that right now, Democrats should have a record breaking lead, and they really don't. And there's a bunch of reasons why they should be having this huge D+10 to D+15 lead in every poll. For a couple reasons. For one, with everything going on with Iran, with gas prices going up, Trump's approval being as bad as it is, even though there are garbage outliers, yeah, Trump is below water by a lot. This should be a perfect storm of events for you to have a big lead. And you're not only not getting this huge lead, especially when you factor out the big outliers, you're not even cracking 50%. That is just awful. You should be consistently at 55%, 54, 53. You have like 2 polls where you're above 50. That's it. That is not good enough. That's the first thing. Secondly, this is the summer bias for Dems. This doesn't happen every year, but most of the time, Democrats, they tend to do very good in the polling during the summer. For whatever reason, Democrats, they usually peak in the summer. Not every time, of course. Sometimes it doesn't happen. But Democrats in July and August, they tend to have this magical, historic surge out of nowhere. For no reason, they magically surge. They're going to win every single race. And then come Labor Day, it takes a couple weeks, but it does come back to reality. So Democrats right now, with those 2 things alone, they should be up by way bigger margins than they are. But they're not. And with the amount of money Republicans are prepared to spend after Labor Day, if not a bit earlier this year, this could be a big problem. Democrats should be at 50% right now in the average, not 48%. They've been stuck at 48 for God, how long at this point? They peaked at 49%. They've been stuck at like 48% to 47% since February. They're just stuck there. The only reason that Republicans are losing is because they're doing so poorly. They're barely cracking 40%. That is not Democrats are doing phenomenal. No, it's the fact that the Republicans, they're not playing particularly strong. And a lot of these undecided voters, guess what? They're going to lean to the right. And that is the biggest problem with all of this. They need a much bigger lead than this. With everything going on, a D+6 environment should not be where they're at right now. Of course, things can change. They could experience a surge. But again, you take out those 2 big outliers. Are you even at D+5? Are you even at D+4 at that point? We're talking about potentially to the right of 2020. And yeah, I know that this would technically be a Democrat victory. I get that. I'm not saying that Republicans would win in a D+6 environment or D+5. They would still lose by every way you measure it. They're going to lose that environment. But compared to what Democrats are expecting and what the polling is showing right now, and with everything going on, it should be worrisome for Dems. They should be doing way better than this right now. Of course, anything can happen. Maybe Democrats experience this historic surge in September and the rest of August. Maybe that's what happens here. That could absolutely happen. But seriously, you're only up by 6 points and really up by 4 to 5 points when you factor out the garbage. Not a particularly great night for such high expectations. If they were expecting to barely take back the House, yeah, that's in line with that will be in line with expectations, but it's not. You have everyone saying this is a record-breaking blue tsunami, D+20, D+25, Trump below water by 30 points. It's all over. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.